The following podcast contains spoilers and is spooky as fuck. We watched a fish, We watched a fish, Hello everybody and happy Halloween! You've got Billy with you and you've got Noosk. How you doing, Noosk?
Bit scared.
We haven't even watched the movie yet, and it's broad daylight.
I don't want to watch this movie.
I'm sorry.
You should be. I have always said I don't want to watch The Conjuring. Your aunties in particular have always said it's the scariest movie they've ever seen.
We're watching it in broad daylight. We're not doing the full Spooktober like we did last year, but one thing that we didn't really get to was the classic haunted house movie, and The Conjuring is a great example of it.
Is it set in a modern house? Our house is spooky enough with it talking to us and your stupid setup home assistant.
Well, when I say modern, I mean the 70s. It's not like oldie times, but it's not like today. Mm-hmm. And it has Patrick Wilson in it, the most handsome man alive after Carey was.
What? He does nothing for me.
Really?
Absolutely nothing.
So that's just my opinion.
That's just you. And I didn't like him in, what was that other crap you made me watch?
Insidious?
Ugh. Yeah. I really don't want to watch this.
I'm sorry.
Why do we have to do this?
Because it's Halloween.
You know I don't like spooky movies.
You can blame Paul from The Countdown, because I messaged him, because he's a horror nut, and I messaged him and I said, look, what should I make Noosk watch for Halloween? You know, she doesn't like really scary movies. And he said, I reckon The Conjuring would be good.
What?
So, yeah.
Well, Paul, you're dead to me. I thought I liked you. I do not.
Well, let's get into it. The Conjuring is a 2013 American supernatural horror film directed by James Wan and written by Chad Hayes and Carey W. Hayes. It's the inaugural film in the Conjuring Universe franchise, and it stars Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga as Ed and Lorraine Warren, paranormal investigators and authors associated with prominent cases of haunting.
Did you tell me once that Paul is a therapist?
Psychiatrist, yeah.
Well, he can be giving me free sessions after I've watched this and can't sleep again. Is this going to be like Paranormal Activity?
No.
I still don't put my feet down the end of the bed.
This is nowhere near as scary as Paranormal Activity, and it's broad daylight. We're in here, we've got the window half open, you've got a cup of tea. I can get us some scones. Do you want some scones? We can pretend we're watching Downton.
That's a tricky one because I like scones. But I don't want to sully my memories of scones with this crap.
That's like me. I've told this story before.
Horror films aren't good. They're just bad films.
Yeah. I can't eat Arnold's ribs and pizza anymore because that's what I was eating when I watched Edward Scissorhands, and now eating them makes me cry.
Also, Arnold's ribs and pizza is no longer a chain.
Yeah, but I couldn't eat them for years.
Yeah, I think I do want scones. It might help distract me.
I can make us some
If
scones.
Something's scary, I can put some jam and cream and look down at that on my scone. And
yeah. Well,
jam, then cream, Billy, unlike you,
no,
you heathen.
That's completely the wrong order.
It's not.
Well, the Queen does it my way.
Did it, and look where that got her. Well, that was a bit harsh, wasn't it?
Too soon.
Too tsunami.
All right, well, let's crack into The Conjuring then, and I'll go get some scones.
Okay.
All right, let's do it. Let's get spooky. You missed that since last year, didn't you?
Did I?
I'm so sorry. I made a huge mistake.
That was awful.
Can you promise me that you won't divorce me?
I make no promises after that.
Did you have a little fun?
Paul, I'm coming for you.
Did you have a little fun?
No, not really. That was I hate feeling on edge. That was terrifying.
Well, okay.
I don't understand how I hate feeling on, and that was terrifying.
Nobody fucking asked you, Siri.
Speaking about terrifying, I just hear this
Great.
disembodied voice.
Yeah, great. Now I'm possessed. Fuck off, Siri.
Okay, but let me ask you this. That's not the scariest movie you've ever seen.
It was up there. I think Paranormal Activity was still scarier for me.
Okay.
But I 100% did not enjoy that.
Would you have rather that we watched The Ring, which was my original idea? Because Topher, of course, he has said that The Ring is the scariest movie.
All those siblings say that The Ring is terrifying and they won't watch it. But I don't know. I can't say whether I would have preferred The Ring because I haven't seen it. That's not an invitation to show it to me next year.
I think you would have found The Ring less scary.
Right. Well, thanks.
I gotta say, though, I've seen this movie a lot of times. I saw this at the cinemas when it first came out. It's crazy to think that was nearly 10 years ago now, 10 years ago next year. This movie is still really scary. Every time I watch it, I forget not just how scary it is, but how good it is. This is a really good movie.
In which respect, Billy?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. As someone who doesn't appreciate horror,
can
you still appreciate that this is a really good movie and it does what it's aiming to do really, really well?
Yes, I suppose it hits all its markers. I just hate horror as a genre. I don't watch horror. I don't like them. But I would say it's probably one of the better horrors that I've seen because at least it had a cohesive storyline, and
I think it does a really good job.
I warmed up to the characters and all that sort of thing. Like a lot of horrors just feel completely stupid, and this was well crafted.
That's what I was going to say. I think this does a really good job of the characterization. I think you do actually really care about these characters, which a lot of horrors forget, I think.
Yeah.
I think the screenplay is really tight, and I think James Wan is a fantastic director. I think the direction of this film, the production design and everything is really, really fantastic.
Yeah, the 70s camera zooms, I don't know what you call those, but it definitely made it feel a lot more like it was in a place and time.
Yeah.
Set in the 70s. The score was terrifying.
Yeah, but I always forget how little score there actually is.
Well,
a lot of the movie is in
the
silence.
Sound design, I suppose, then.
Yeah.
Yeah. At one point you were like, look, it's a montage, Noosk. It's not that bad. I was like, get fucked. It was just... Ugh.
The good news is that this is probably not a true story. Most of it probably...
Yeah, well, I said to you at the start, why is that text coming up? It's not really based on a true story. And you were like, well, they were real people and they really did. I was like, fucking great. That's what I want to hear at the start of a film. Ugh. And the Warner Brothers thing came up, I was like, I feel like I'm watching Harry Potter. But we weren't.
Ed and Lorraine Warren are real people, and all of these movies, I think there's 8 or 9 movies in this franchise.
Yeah,
now.
well, I did say to you, why do I feel like I've seen these two do this job before? And that was because you made me watch.
I'm pretty sure that last year, because there was a new one that came out last year, The Devil Made Me Do It, and I'm pretty sure I watched that with you. That one is much more of a thriller, less of a horror.
Yeah.
And
I think I remember that. There was
an
old guy in it.
An old guy?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I remember something about something.
Doesn't seem like you do, actually.
No, there was something to do with an old guy, and then there was like a tomb under the house, and they were in this like stone underground tomb passageway, and there was something to do with the trains. No?
Oh, yeah, maybe that sounds right. I think I do remember trains.
Yeah,
but most of that movie
piss
from
off,
memory
Billy.
is about like the court case. Like that's more like I feel like mostly it's a court drama from memory.
Well, I would remember the scary bits, so yeah.
Well,
anyway.
So, I mean, talking about these two, what do you think of Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga in these roles? As Ed and
they're
Lorraine
great.
Warren?
They're great.
Fantastic.
I mean, the photos come up at the end, and I'm like, he doesn't look like Patrick Wilson.
I mean, nobody looks
Nobody
like
does.
Patrick Wilson. Patrick Wilson is a dreamboat, even with those sideburns.
I will say that you make the movies less scary by your constant gagging for Patrick Wilson. I'm like, do you need a moment to yourself?
He's just so pretty. And not only Patrick Wilson, I'm such a fan of Ron Livingston, who played Roger, the father.
Yeah, I was like, why do I feel like he's like a Coach doppelganger, Friday Night Lights Coach.
Yeah.
And he was like, he's Ron Livingston from Office Space. I was like, oh, yeah. Yeah, he's always enjoyable.
The entire cast, I think, is really,
yeah,
really
all the
great
kids
in
were
this
great.
film. Yeah, good child actors.
Annoying, freaky. They did all the right things. Ugh. But I can't believe you made me watch this. You were like, I know Noosk doesn't like violence against children or violence against women or animals dying. The dog dies. We see kids possessed and like pulled around the house, and then the mum is possessed as well. And like, what? That hit everything I didn't want it to. What were you thinking?
But it's all super. This isn't like Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs abducting women. This is like it's the ghost of a witch. Like it's not real life,
Well, but then it says based on a true story, and I have stayed in a haunted house, a real haunted house, and that shit is terrifying. Terrifying. Have you stayed in a haunted house, Billy? No.
Well, I live here in our house.
Yeah. Our house is great. It's brand new. We built it. No one has ever killed anyone in it. We know its history.
That you know of. Okay, well, let me ask you this then. What was the biggest scare in this movie for you? Because there was even though I've seen this movie heaps, the only scare that I actively remembered was the clap.
Hide and clap.
Yeah. And actually, I also remembered the witch on top of the wardrobe. I remember that shot.
That was terrifying.
What was the scariest moment for you?
I mean, there was just lots of, like jump scares, which I hate because they're coming, and I hate that feeling. But when the mum wakes up and the witch or the guy or whatever it was, demon, was over her right before, like he fully possesses her. That was terrifying. And when Lorraine fell through all the sort of stories of the house, that really terrified me.
Yeah.
Didn't care for most of the film. And this is what horror does. It just sets things up in a stupid, annoying way. It's like, you're going to be scared. You're waiting to be scared. I hate that. Like, the kid got the wind chimes out, and I was like, oh, there we go. That'll be something freaky later on.
You were wrong. That never eventuated to anything. The wind chimes were never a creep factor.
Well, but the rocking chair beneath them was. And so, they point out lots of things for you that you're going to be like, oh, there it is later. The dog not wanting to come in the house.
Yeah.
If my dog doesn't want to go in my brand new old farmhouse that was built in the 1800s, you can guarantee I'm not going in either.
I think that's actually something that this film does really well, to its credit, is, I've seen a lot of horror movies and a lot of haunted house movies. Just recently, actually, I guested over on the Scaredy Boys podcast, and for some stupid, ridiculous reason, I chose to do Amityville Horror, because my memory is like, oh yeah, this is, it's like scary. It's the OG kind of haunted house movie. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and it was not scary at all in any way.
This was.
But so I've seen a lot of them, and a lot of them do what you're saying. They kind of set things up, and I think that's something that this film does extraordinarily well. And this is something about James Wan's direction, is that it gives you that edge of your seat feeling, and it prompts you to be scared, and then it doesn't deliver it. It almost blue balls you, because it's like, he does a lot of camera work type things too, where the camera will move, or you'll see someone close a door and you're like, oh fuck, there's going to be something hiding behind that door. And then it doesn't happen. Yes. It never happens. And it just leaves you with this feeling of dread that never eventuates. And it's fantastic.
No.
I think it's really, really strong. Like you say, with the wind chimes, or, there are lots of little things like that in this film where it almost sets them up, and then it
there's lots of
really
times
eventuate.
that in a shot that would otherwise be centered, the person is off to the side because you're expecting to see something behind them, and then nothing happens. And
well, it's like
and you just thought it was hilarious. You were like, "Let's put your Apple Watch on so we can look at your heart rate." And I was like, why do I feel like I'm in a lab right now?
It's like the first time the little girl shows the mother the music box, and she's like, and he'll appear behind you. And then he doesn't. The little girl just yells out, boo. And it gives you that little jump scare moment, because her yelling shocks you a little, but what you expect to happen doesn't. And I think that's really, really cool, actually.
It's just so... Oh.
Well, but okay, did you... I always find this really interesting because I find it hard to comprehend. I think just because I do get enjoyment out of horror movies, I find it weird when someone doesn't.
You have terrible anxiety. I don't understand.
But you know what?
Why you chase the feeling.
You know what? I think that's it, because it's like when you are always an anxious person and when your heart rate is like always high, it's almost nice when you can have a reason, when you can watch a scary movie and be like, yeah, this makes sense.
Would you like to share the story of booking Disney tickets the other day?
Oh, God, that was... Oh.
This is just one of the many examples of Billy's high level of anxiety. He was trying to book Disney tickets for our upcoming trip to Japan.
Because we don't actually need to book them anyway. We're staying in a Disney hotel. We get them there, but they went on a massive online sale, which of course crashed the website. So I spent 3 or 4 days trying to get through the website, puts you on a waiting list. And
then you thought you'd hacked it by, copying links. And you were like, it's okay if I have 2 browsers open and I save the links and I copy and paste the links. If it crashes, like you had a system.
Yeah.
And your watcher thought you'd done bloody 18 minutes of exercise.
Yeah, my heart rate was 120, which is not good for sitting at the computer.
No, it's really, really
But
not.
you know, that's the thing about horror movies then, is that you can watch something like this and it feels comforting to a certain extent. I know that sounds strange, but to me there is something really comforting and fun about a scary movie. But
is it the same reason you like a roller coaster?
Maybe, I don't know. I love roller coasters. So you don't get that feeling at all, though. Like, you got zero enjoyment out of this. You wouldn't watch it again. You wouldn't.
Oh no, I wouldn't choose to ever watch that.
Yeah, right.
The only time I kind of like watching a horror is with a big group of people, and everyone's like scared and laughing together, and it kind of becomes more about the group experience than what you're actually watching. No, I don't choose to put I also can suffer from anxiety, used to quite a bit, and I don't understand why anyone would willingly choose to put themselves through those feelings.
Okay, so you would not, even though you can appreciate that was a really well-made film and you liked the characters.
Yeah, for a
and you
horror,
liked
I suppose it was.
You would not watch The Conjuring 2.
No.
Okay.
Have you learnt nothing? You kept saying to me, I'm so sorry. Do you hate me? Do you wish I was dead? It's just awful. And, I suppose if they were real people and that's what they did, kudos to them, because somebody has to do that awful job. But
you know what? How about this, though? For as scary as that movie was, not a single death. Nobody died.
Yeah. I have to say the Disney ending was actually kind of infuriating.
What, you wanted some deaths?
No, I didn't. I didn't want deaths. I'm
you
glad.
wanted the little girl to get murdered.
No.
Oh my God, no, you're horrible.
No, well, actually, and that's not true. There was a death. The dog died, and like 50 million birds. But anyway, you were like, "This is the most terrifying part of the film."
Oh yeah,
look at all the birds.
all those
I was like,
birds
"It's
flying
fine."
at the house. Birds are. Oh man, I hate birds.
Maybe we should watch the birds, and you
No,
should
that's
feel
too
something.
scary
Yeah,
for me.
there we go. There we go. I'm going to make you watch the birds.
I mean, I've seen the birds, but I don't
Well, I
want to
haven't.
rewatch it.
The dog death was a tragedy, and they should feel really bad for tying their dog up outside, being left to the demon.
Well, they didn't know there was a demon.
The dog did not want to come in an old spooky farmhouse. That is your first clue that you should up and leave.
Yeah, actually, that's one thing that I really, really liked about this film. I love the way that they establish quite early on that Ed and Lorraine aren't kooks. They show them investigating another house where they're like, nah, it's pipes, it's water, it's this, it's that. And I love that because typically in a film like this, they don't establish that. Yeah. And so especially when it's supposed to be based on a true story, I think that's really important. And I think the other thing that they did really well is they outright ask them, the very first time they meet them, they say, why haven't you left the house? And then they explain that, well, now it's too late. Even if you do leave now, the presence is attached to you. Yeah. And I think that's good because most people watching this movie would at a certain point go, why are you still here?
As soon as your dog said no, why are you still here? Dogs know shit. If Hero was like, nah, I'd be like, okay, buddy, you're the leader.
You can't base that off Hero. These days you try to take him for a walk and at a certain point he'll just stop and stand there and you'll have to give him a huge tug to get him to keep walking.
Yeah, but that's just because he's tired. Yeah, the Disney ending, I don't know. I was really happy none of the children or the wife died. I was happy the family were all together. And even Lorraine and Ed, you know, them being safe because Lorraine had, you know, sort of been, I don't know, adversely affected at the last exorcism. That was all fine. I was happy for finally, like,
you would have
a
liked
bit of
it if
relief.
the cop had died or something. If one of the offsiders...
No, I don't want anyone to die. Can I just make that really clear?
Well, I don't really get
No,
you're
what
saying
annoyed me was, you know, the cop they had there for some strange reason.
Yeah.
When Demon Mother, like, I thought she bit his ear off or, like, tore his neck open because there was a lot of blood
I think
first.
she just, like, scratched at his skin on his
Right,
neck. Which,
okay.
I mean, that would, like, make a lot of blood.
Yeah, well, it just, I don't know, it looked worse at the time, I suppose. And I was like, oh, is he okay? And then their assistant, the, you know, guy in bell bottoms at the end, he was just like, oh, you know, would you rather be attacked by a demon? And he was like, I'd rather face a guy with a gun any day. And they have like this Disney smile at each other. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Am I watching the Babysitter's Club right now or The Conjuring? That shit, I was like, nah, that's enough. Anyway, apart from that, it was, I suppose, a good film.
I didn't mind that stuff. I loved that it played with the 70s without it becoming a caricature.
Yeah, definitely.
Like I think it did a really good job. You know, there's maybe one or two times. There's really just that one conversation when that guy is flirting with the daughter and they drop a bit of groovy. And that's really the only time.
And we said, okay, boomer.
And that's really the only time that they fully draw attention to it, apart from obviously just like the costuming and the set design, which I think is really, really strong.
But even then, it's not like watching the Brady Bunch. It's, you know, like, of course, people wore stuff like that, but it wasn't in your face, like a costume party. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really, really well designed.
Yeah.
You'll be happy to know that the real house, the house on which this is based, the people who owned it at the time said that they'd lived there since 87 and nothing bad had ever happened. So,
really?
So maybe the Warrens fixed it. Yeah, in fact,
or maybe they're just demons living in people's bodies, and they're like, yeah,
they've since moved. In fact, they sued Warner Brothers for this movie because they were like, since this movie has come out, our house has become like a tourist ground. It's been constantly vandalized, and
that's a bit shit.
Yeah.
But, so Warner Brothers wouldn't have to like seek their permission or something? Like, surely?
I mean, I guess not.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I would have thought they could just, like, change the address, perhaps, or... Ugh, that's shit. See, that's why you don't live in an old farmhouse from the 1800s.
Yeah.
Or stay in an Airbnb in Tasmania that was once occupied by convicts.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they follow you.
Or stay in an Airbnb in Georgia, because apparently most of them turn out to be plantations.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, all right. Was there anything that you can say you liked about this film?
All the praise you just gave it, like, I can recognise, yes, made it a well-crafted horror film.
Yeah.
Would I choose to watch it again? Absolutely not.
Because last Halloween we got to 5 films. We did the whole gamut. We did aliens, zombies, werewolves, vampires,
you assured
ghosts.
me they weren't going to be too scary.
And you didn't find any of them too scary.
No, they were my kind of horrors.
So this is now the scariest horror that I've made you watch for the show.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Yes, 100%.
So next Halloween, you'd rather do something a little bit lighter.
And I said to you, this isn't like Paranormal Activity, and you were like, nah. The girl is putting her feet at the end of the bed and she's being pulled. That's literally what I said to you. I do not like. And that happened several times.
I didn't know that that's what you were talking about. I thought you meant more like the realism, like the found footagey type stuff.
I still don't put my feet at the end of the bed because of that movie. And now I've watched another one.
That's absolutely not true. I walked in the other day and your legs were hanging out of the bed.
But once I'm like in a deep sleep, I don't know what my body does, but I don't like stick them down there at the start of the night knowing full well there's a demon waiting to like pull me. And that's why Hero sleeps at the end of the bed too.
Yeah.
So that he can protect us against a demon.
See, I do sleep with my feet off the end of the bed. I rub my feet on Hero. Well, let me ask you this then. Classic horror movie question. Do you think that the characters acted wisely or foolishly? If I can steal a question from Scaredy Boys. Do you think that these characters acted the best they could? Or do you think that they were all being dumb shits the whole time?
Well, I thought they were dumb because from the moment they turned up and the dog didn't want to go in, I was like, yep, that's it. Pack the car up. Out you go.
So you think you'd survive in this universe because you just wouldn't have even gone in the house?
Nope. Not at all.
I don't believe that for a second. Not a chance. You'd be like, Hero, stop being an idiot.
No. I would have taken him seriously. I would have driven into town and bought a whole bunch of like sage smudge sticks and made sure my children were baptized. Do you know, my mum thinks I was secretly baptized?
Yeah.
By my very religious granny.
I've heard that story. So you'd be okay. The rest of us would be
Yeah, you guys are fucked. I'm fine. Anyway, I don't know. I felt like they were acting very stupidly, but...
Even the Warrens?
No, that's their job.
Okay.
Yeah, what...
So just the family you thought acted foolishly?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't tie my dog up outside where it feels scared and, like, just the house had a vibe, I reckon, that they just weren't even picking up on. And the dog was.
I mean, it's pretty hard not to pick up on that vibe, honestly, with the kind of shit. If you woke up covered in bruises,
yes,
you'd be like, yeah, this probably ain't great.
No. Oh, and just, I don't know, like, the creepy sort of instances of doors and, like, the whispers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No. When I stayed in that haunted house in Tasmania with my family, like, there's a feeling and it just, you can't settle. And then in the morning, when we were leaving, my parents were like, oh, it was so cute listening to you girls giggle all night. And my sister and I were like, we didn't do that. What are you talking about? I sat there all night, not sleeping, just staring at the end of my bed because I knew if I closed my eyes, when I opened them, there would be a little ghost girl standing there.
Yeah, giggling kids are creepy.
Yeah. And they were like, but you girls were like up all night giggling. We were saying how cute it was that you were getting along. And I'm like, no, my sister was asleep and I was terrified.
Yeah. Classic.
No. Anyway, I like how the film tried to justify, that all their money was tied up in the house. They were a family of 7.
Yeah.
To
me, the reasoning all made sense when he was like, who's going to take in a family of 7 indefinitely? I was like, oh, yeah, good reasoning, movie. Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't take in a family of 4.
You wouldn't even take in one more child.
Oh, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? I love the 2 we've got, but I don't want any more of them. There's a reason I had Snip.
Yeah, good boy. Anyway, would I have acted the same way? Probably not, but I think the film did a good job of trying to show that they weren't complete idiots, like most horror film.
All right, so how are you scoring The Conjuring out of 10? This has to be, even though you don't like horrors, you have to recognise that this is a really good movie.
Yeah, I suppose. This is why I don't watch horrors, because I find it hard to separate what's awful for me and what's actually good for people who like horrors. I suppose I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Wow, that's pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm an 8 out of 10. I think this is a really, really, really good movie.
What would you change? If it's not perfect.
You know what? That's a great question. I don't know that there's anything I would change. I just, in my heart of hearts, know that I can't go higher than an 8.
Why?
I don't know. It would feel weird to do that.
Well, if it's a perfect horror, doesn't it meet a 10 out of 10 in horror?
Okay, yeah, fine. All right, I'm a 10 out of 10.
No, I'm just trying to get you to criticize it.
So shall we watch The Conjuring 2 now?
No, absolutely not.
Do you want me to take you out for a nice lunch? Go sit in the sun and be outside.
With no demons.
Yeah.
Yes, that sounds good.
And because the kids are still at school too, so really no demons.
Yeah, but when those clocks stopped at 3:07, I was like, after school time.
School pickup time. The witching hour, as
that
we say.
That makes sense.
That's around the time when you get home with the kids.
Yep.
Yep. Yep.
And that's when you want to murder your children. Yeah. It makes perfect sense.
Well, even though you don't like horrors, I appreciate you joining me once again for a Spooktober
better bloody
special.
Appreciate this.
Well, I mean, think of it this way. When this episode comes out, you and I will be eating Michelin star sushi in Tokyo with no kids around.
That's a nice thought.
Yeah. So think of it that way.
Our kid, just for the listeners, our kids are coming with us. They'll just be staying with Billy's aunt that night.
Yes. By the way, you got scones.
I did get scones. Yes.
I got scones.
That helped a bit. That did help.
Yeah. All right. Well, next week, Topher and I will be starting We Watched the Rings. That's right.
That's funny.
November is just Lord of the Rings City around here. We're doing 3 weeks in a row. It was epic. We recorded last week and we didn't finish until around 3 a.m. And I am still very, very tired.
You're very old. You can't do stuff like that anymore.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. So next week kicks it all off with Fellowship.
I hope my stew gets a mention.
I don't think it does.
Rude.
I'll mention it now. You made us a beautiful stew for the occasion. It was very Hobbit-like.
Left you stew in the crock pot, and I came home, and Topher was like, "We even ate your stew, Noose. We're so grown up." I was like, okay, fuck you. I won't leave you a delicious stew next time.
We did then order 40 nuggets at around like midnight.
Yeah, you too.
All right, well, that's next week. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with me, you can do that at wewatchedathing.com or wewatchedathing@gmail.com. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all under the handle at wewatchedathing. If you want to help support the show, you can do that at patreon.com/wewatchedathing, and I'll catch you next week.
Boo. I'm a ghost.
You're still here? The show's over. Go home. Go. But if you can't get enough of We Watched a Thing, why don't you check out our Patreon page? There's tons of behind-the-scenes content, heaps of bonus episodes. You can get full, unedited videos of each episode recording. You can pick a movie for me to do on the show, or even come and join me while I talk about it. So why don't you head over to patreon.com/wewatchedathing. Go watch a movie.